You know what? I'm a professional. I can do it, right? All right, so there is our thunderstorm. I've got radar feeds pulled up here in on the News Channel 6 side of things. I've also got radar feeds pulled up over on my Facebook page. Now, the storm that's moving into Burkburnett again, as of right now, there's no warnings out for it. It's basically just looking at some downpours and small hail. Now, if it reorganizes, we could see the hail sizes try to pick back up. But right now, that's not the case. Now, the storm to the south, it has some bigger hail signatures near Dundee at this time. And it looks like the hail is going to pass just north of Lake Kemp, but very close. It could brush maybe the northern shore there as it makes its way almost due east across the northern part of Archer County. The rain will likely pick up in Holiday shortly, maybe some small hail there. But when you're dealing with the supercell thunderstorms, and this is somewhat of a supercell thunderstorm, it's just kind of lined up a little bit differently. You probably have your updraft somewhere in this location here. So you wind up getting your biggest hail just kind of north of the updraft. So from Dundee, maybe Holiday there southward, could be some hail sizes, maybe some dimes, perhaps up to nickels. And from there, we'll see heavy rain or some heavy downpours from Cadane Corner. This will move into the west and southwest side of Wichita Falls here shortly, and that may also include some very small hailstones between now and 10 o'clock. As far as a lakeside city, we'll see what happens. I think the biggest hail will stay just south of the lake, but it'll be close. But we could see some bigger hailstones in time, maybe out towards Scotland, maybe Lake Arrowhead, and maybe between Lakeside City and Scotland. I don't think as of right now this is going to be baseball-size hail, but if the storm does try to intensify a little bit, I suppose that could change just a little bit. But as of right now, the biggest hail is near Dundee, and it's right along Highway 82, moving almost due east, so maybe slightly north of due east, right across the northern parts of Archer County. And we're going to see some heavier downpours in the Wichita Falls here pretty soon, too, from that cell that's moving along those areas. I probably have had quite a few questions over on my Facebook page. I try to pull those up and try to answer those. So I'm going to try to pull those up so we can answer questions. So if you have questions, and even on the News Channel 6 side of things, right now is the time to ask them. I know you want to know what time everything is going to be here. I can give you a better time frame, I think, now with some of these storms. And we're not done with it yet either, because there's going to be some more rounds of storms coming in later tonight. As the storm center itself tries to cross the southern parts of the area, we're going to wind up seeing another wave of storms moving through in the middle of the night. So heavy rain is becoming a bit of an issue in some areas, and there's also some hail coming through in some of these areas too. So we do got a lady here asking. I want to see. Oh, okay, I got to put. Yeah, Rhonda, thank you for telling me about that, because I had just about all but forgotten about that. Yep, it's up there. It's Rhonda, the sponsor should be up there, so it should be. Let me make sure. Yeah, it's there. All right, I was just making sure that the sponsor was back up there, but it was. 940 Roofing and Construction, so it's up. It's been up the whole time, so that's good. So let's see here. Let's try to answer some questions. All right, so we got Jesse Tinkle asking about Graham. Well, let's check out Graham. Let's see what's going on in the old Graham area down there. Let's see if there's anything going on. So there's no storms near Graham, but I do think there's some storms well west of you. A lot of storms developing down towards Sweetwater and Abilene. So these storms are going to make their way up towards Graham in time. It may be maybe midnight before storms get to you, but I do believe storms will be headed towards Graham with heavy rain and perhaps a little bit of a hail threat. So that is something to keep an eye on there. I do notice that the storm that's moving into Burkburnett may be trying to perk up just a little bit. It looks like it's getting a little bit better organized, so we might be seeing the hailstones try to increase a little bit up that way. And Becca, for Olney, it's about the same way. Going to be very similar. Let's see here. Small hail and Electra just now. Thank you for letting me know about that. Overnight storms, Ryan, they're not going to be any worse. Matter of fact, they probably won't. They'll probably contain smaller hail overnight tonight. So that is something that I'll keep an eye on. But it's probably going to be mostly smaller hail with those storms overnight tonight. But I do notice that the storm that is up towards Burkburnett is getting a little bit better organized. So we might be seeing a chance for the hail sizes to get a little bit bigger if that indeed does happen. No warnings out yet, but look at how you're starting to see that hook echo kind of wrap around again. Now remember, these are what we call elevated thunderstorms. And by elevated, they're forming in cooler air. You typically associate severe storms with with warm, humid air. And it was warm and humid earlier today, but a little front dropped through. Now you walk outside and it's almost cold out there. So these storms, there's still some warm, moist air above the layer of cool air at the Earth's surface. So that's where they form, but they're based higher up in the sky. So they're not able to produce tornadoes because it's just too high up for that to happen. And they typically don't produce a lot in the way of wind either, although that they can still produce wind. But they usually produce hail, and that's what we're looking at tonight. And what I see here is I see the updraft, and this is the same thing that happened with that storm that produced that big hail in Burkburnett. The updraft is getting a little bit better organized, and you're seeing some stuff. You're seeing moisture now feeding into it. So as that happens, the updraft regrows, it strengthens again, it recycles, it gets stronger, and that allows for the hail sizes to begin to peak back up again. So don't be surprised if we see some bigger hail maybe trying to redevelop in this storm as it heads right at Burkburnett or maybe just south of there. Now the storm south of there that's moving across southern Wichita. Now southern Wichita is not in a warning officially. The warning is right along the border. It may kind of sort of extend down into that area. But it looks like even that storm too might be getting a little bit better organized, and Mankins might be seeing the hail size increase some there too. And it looks like in Holiday, we could see some pretty big hail there shortly. So if you're in Holiday, I would say at least nickel-size hail headed towards you. And some of those DBZ levels are starting to increase some towards Mankins. And you're seeing that kind of wrap around the updraft some. So that storm is getting better organized there too. So we might be seeing a little bit in the way of some bigger hail headed towards Holiday. And that might also include Lakeside City. I probably should text my wife or message my wife and say, hey, could be some pretty decent hail there here pretty shortly. So matter of fact, I am going to do that real fast. So she will be aware and she will know what is what. So let's see here. Now I got Nancy Upton McGill that sent me some video of some of the hail there. Thanks. And Darren Beaver is always a great source of information. Thank you so much, Darren. Darren's a great guy. He's a guy who I post on here all the time. The sunset pictures. What a great source of information, and he's going to be chasing for us this year too. So let me tell my wife real fast. All right. So, of course, we're in Lakeside City, and that sale's wrapping up pretty good. And if the updraft continues to increase some, and if the updraft continues to show signs of organization, we might see the hail threats increase a bit. You know, I think I'm going to have to try to see if I can arrange maybe a quick cut in real fast over the News Channel 6. I'm not going to interrupt your game for long. It'll be a very quick cut in at the most. So let me go see if I can. I'll be right back. Let me see if I can organize that real fast. and I know you're watching the basketball games. And I promise you that this cut-in will not be long. I will not go over your over the game by much. Just a second. That's all it will be. So if you are most of the coverage with this will remain on Facebook Live, but there's some pretty big hail showing up in that storm near Mankins, and it looks like it's going to pass over Holiday and very close to Lakeside City, very close to the southern side of Wichita Falls. So I feel like we need to do at least a little quick brief update as we go back into the game. So I won't be on long. You will not miss much action. I can promise you that. So give me just a few minutes here and we'll be back on with it. We're going to continue to be on Facebook Live. That is the main way you're going to get your weather information tonight. And also for those of you out there that follow me on YouTube, that's also another good place to be too. Of course, I'm streaming on other platforms now too, not just YouTube, not just Facebook, but I'm also on Twitch. And Jacob, you know anything about Twitch?
Somewhat.
Yeah, I'm streaming on Twitch now too. So, but I know it's a gamer's platform, but I don't know, how many people are going to watch the weather. All right, they're ready? Tell me when. All right, very, very quick weather cut in. Then we'll go right back to the game. You won't miss much action. We got a severe thunderstorm moving across the northern parts of Archer County. Looks like at least some quarter-size hail headed towards Holiday. And that could also be moving over maybe the southern side of Wichita Falls and Lakeside City here pretty shortly and across the northern parts of Archer County. Large hail is our main concern. Continuing coverage over on Facebook Live. Find us over there. Now let's go back to the game. Thank you. I appreciate that. See, I told y'all I wouldn't be on for very long. I told you I would just do the update and get off there. If we could only do that every single time when we have weather, I think we would make so many people happy if we could do that. So, but a lot of people also would be upset if we could do that too. Now, this is just a situation where we just really don't need to be doing wall-to-wall coverage. It's not a life or death type of situation. This is a situation where what we're dealing with, again, is hail-producing thunderstorms. That's what we're dealing with here. So no need to blow out programming, no need to disrupt your games. So I'm not going to do that, thankfully. We did not have to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to pull up some of our tower cams here, and that's our Hamilton Bryan one. Let's see if it's up. Let's see if our other tower cam is up from the south side of Wichita Falls, and I can perhaps maybe move it around a little bit too. Oh, that's not the one I'm looking for. So let me see here. Man, I'm glad I was able to get on there and get off. Didn't have to stay on there. We don't like interrupting your programming. There's nothing about it that makes us happy about that. We don't want to have to do that. We just when it's severe weather, we're going to do that. We're going to interrupt. Look at that. For north winds at 17 miles per hour. That front's well south of Wichita Falls, and the temperature is sitting at 59 degrees at this time. So we're pointing kind of back to the south there a bit. I suppose I could angle it a little bit more to the south, but we can see whatever. These storms, they're producing some lightning, nice lightning show, but these aren't like those big ones that we get sometime in the over into April and May, where you get a vivid lightning show. Basically, what you're seeing here with this is just you're seeing quite a bit of lightning with it, but it doesn't like this storm is producing just too much. But it is a pretty decent storm. That is moving across the area. If we look, even on the latest couple of scans, the hail sizes don't look too large with this storm from Mankins into Holiday. You're looking at basically probably penny, maybe nickel size hail moving over Holiday. Lakeside City, that's kind of a similar situation is going to be headed towards you shortly. Now, this does stay north of Archer City. It should pass north of Scotland. It is going to stay north of Lake Kemp, and it may even miss Lake Arrowhead, but it looks like this is moving more east-northeast. It's going to move over the southeastern side of Wichita Falls, or the southern side. It looks like Wichita Falls should get at least some downpours and some hail with this. Then it's going to head over into Clay County. So you're looking at places like Jolly and Dean, probably maybe Henrietta or just north of Henrietta. That's not the only game in town. There's other storms out there too. Here comes the next wave of storms. And you can see those storms that are out there that are to the south, kind of southwest, southwest of Seymour. Those thunderstorms are moving northeast as well. And those thunderstorms are going to also pose a bit of a severe threat overnight tonight, mostly in the form of some heavy rain and perhaps a little hail. Now, the hailstones with those, with kind of a linear type system, will not be as large as these supercells as we're seeing here this evening. But there still could be some decent hailstones with them, but probably not as large as what we're seeing now. I'm just thankful that the front was able to push through, so we're not dealing with a bigger severe threat. It looks like the hailstones might be trying to pick up a little bit, at least on the radar there in Holiday. And if you're watching me from Holiday, give me a report. Tell me what you're getting down that way. Lakeside City, you're next. It'll be there shortly. And, of course, Lakeside City is where mi casa is. So, my wife, hopefully, will give me a report of anything. Of course, she'll just hear it hitting the sunroof. She probably won't know how big. She's not going to go out there and look. So, but she'll tell me if it hails. She won't know how big it is, though, I can guarantee you. So it's 71 in Albany. So you're just south of that front still. All right, so it looked like that storm was organizing towards Burke-Burnett, and it just looks like the bigger cell to the south has gobbled it up. So it hasn't organized yet. But some pea-size hail as possible in Burke-Burnett at this time. Not as significant as the storm that is impacting down towards Holiday at the present time. So that's the one we're most concerned with. That's going to cross the southern part, or at least the extreme southeastern part of Wichita Falls. With a little hail. There's a little hail showing up between Burke-Burnett, or over at least the south side of Burke-Burnett. Earlier, you saw that golf ball, baseball size hail. I know that 940 Roofing is going to be out there tomorrow. And of course, if you do have any issues or any hail damage, 940 Roofing is the way to go. So give them a call and they can come out and give you an estimate on what they're looking at there. So we'll watch and see. I don't think, at least it doesn't look like that they're going to see baseball size hail over Wichita Falls, but I mean, a couple places over a small area could at least see nickel size hail. It wouldn't surprise me in the least if we did see that. It looks like that's over Holiday now. Let's see here. I do got some on some comments, questions here on my Facebook page. Of course, people are just kind of reporting what they're seeing. Some thunder out at the stadium. Some people say that got some thunder in the City View area. There's a little thunderstorm over you, but I want to hear from Holiday, Lakeside City, and the south side of Wichita Falls as this storm moves over you. Now, I don't know. It looks like the hail portion of the storm is moving right along the Kell Boulevard. Basically, let's just go 277. You kind of follow it south from there, and you got a bit of a hail core over Holiday now. I bet you're seeing at least some nickel-size hail there at this present time. It's moving basically right along Highway 82 or Kell Boulevard. That's kind of everybody knows that as Kell. And from there, it's going to be moving into the southern side of Wichita Falls. So if you're familiar with the city, of course, a lot of our viewers are watching us here from Wichita Falls. If you live over Lake Wichita, or if you live in Lakeside City, or anywhere along or south of Southwest Parkway, you got a chance for the hailstones to be at least up to the size of maybe peas, pennies, maybe quarters, maybe nickel-size hail. And that includes, again, Lake Wichita, Lakeside City, 1954. It's possible that the hail core might pass just south of the Memorial Stadium, but it's going to be a close call. So the southwest side of the city could get some of that hail. And if you're familiar with where the North Texas State Hospital is at, that area, it looks like the hail core is headed right towards that spot. So right now, I think Holiday, we're going to say anywhere along Highway 1954 and towards Lakeside City, anywhere on the south side of Wichita Falls, south of Southwest Parkway. and headed towards perhaps the Kickapoo Airport. All these areas could be impacted. Now, if the storm were to move a little bit more north than east, then we might have to start thinking about the southern side of the Sheppard Air Force Base. But right now, it looks like the hail core might stay just a hair south of there. I can show you some velocity products here. And typically speaking, when we're looking at velocity products, we want to look at this for rotation in the storm, and we show them a lot of times for tornadoes and that kind of thing. But in this instance, I'm looking at the velocities because we are looking at rotation that's suspended aloft within the thunderstorm. And when you start seeing the rotation that's suspended in the thunderstorm, it tells me that the updraft is still spinning. And that allows the hailstones to continue. It allows the storm to remain organized, and it allows those hailstones to continue to fall out of the storm. So we're seeing that updraft rotation very close to the western side of Lake Wichita and over Lakeside City, kind of over in that area, and then kind of straddling right through the southern side of Wichita Falls itself. You know, if we were dealing with a surface-based thunderstorm, I mean, if the front had not pushed through, and this was in an environment where we had a lot of warm, moist air in place at the Earth's surface, and that was feeding into the storm, then this would be a situation where the rotating part of the storm, or the what would be the mesocyclone, the tornadic portion of the storm, would pass right over the northern side of Archer County and the southern side of Wichita Falls and kind of Lakeside City. But that is not the case tonight, so we're not worried about that. But you can see here, there's your hook trying to develop down this way, kind of down in me here. So your updraft is somewhere in here, and you have some hail kind of on the western and northern side of that there. Maybe some smaller hail over Wichita Falls, but your bigger hail, if there is bigger hail, now east of Holiday, moving along the western side of Lake Wichita into Lakeside City, and from there it's going to move kind of east-northeast right at 281. The Greenbrier Walmart is located, roughly in this area here, and it looks like there could be some at least small hail headed in that direction there shortly. The Kickapoo Airport over this way. The downtown Wichita Falls area, of course, is up here. There is Jolly. Dean is up this way. You got the along 287, you got the Love's truck stop over into this area here. So all these areas might see at least some small hail out of this thunderstorm as it's making its way off to the east and to the northeast. Sounds like we might have a little rain here at the station. Of course, the station is located on the north side, the northwest side of Wichita Falls. So I hear a little thunder here at this time. Nothing major. But I do hear a little thunder here at this time at the station. But again, nothing that appears to be too bad at the present time. But there is a little bit of a hail core on the south side of Wichita Falls now. And this is going to move again right along and just south of Lakeside, or right along and south of Southwest Parkway. So let me see if I have any more questions here. So somebody wants to know about Burke looking okay. Well, let's check out Burke Burnett here. And Burke, you're getting some downpours. There might be some pea-size hail or BB-size hail up that way, but it does not look too bad. In fact, the latest radar update kind of pushed that kind of east of you. So as of right now, not too bad. Just some good downpours on the east side of Burke Burnett. The hail core has picked up some, though, over south, the southern side of Wichita Falls. So if you are watching this from Wichita Falls, I do see where you see that little magenta color there, kind of a pinkish color. That is where we're seeing hailstones, perhaps up to nickel size at this time. I don't think it's any larger than that, but it looks like somewhere between about pea and maybe nickel size hail with that. Sykes Estate, could be some small hail there. It's going to be hard to say. That little hail core might pass very close to you, but I think that it might barely miss that spot too. Raining out by the stadium now. Thanks, William, for that update. Taft and Southwest Parkway. It looks like Taft, Southwest Parkway, of course, you're getting some heavy rain over that way, and there might be some hail, mostly small hail, that tries to develop over into that general area. So slightly larger hail over looks like over Lake Wichita at this time. and along or just south of Southwest Parkway, just south of the Memorial Stadium. And from there, it's going to move. If you're familiar with Southwest Parkway, it looks like it's perhaps maybe some hell over Barnett Road at this time. Then it moves right along the northern shore of the lake, perhaps towards Lakeside City. We can zoom in a little bit closer to some of these areas, kind of making a beeline right towards the state hospital. I do see some black color starting to show up over there on the radar on the News Channel 6 side of things, which tells me that the hailstones may be a little bit larger. Now, keep in mind that we are going to go on late tonight on News Channel 6 because of the basketball game. And right now, it's a pretty good game there between UCLA and Gonzaga, the 2 versus 3 seed. It looks like UCLA up 38-31. They're in the first half, 4:49, which probably means that we don't go on for at least another hour and a half. It'll probably be closer to 11 o'clock before we go on the air. Back to talking about the radar, it looks like the hail core has increased over southwestern Wichita Falls with that latest radar update there on my Radar Omega. So maybe even out towards the stadium, we're perhaps maybe seeing a little bit of an increase in some of the hail sizes. I used to live off Southwest Parkway, kind of over in the over pretty close to Fowler Elementary School, kind of around the stadium. That's where I used to live. I still got a house over there. But my wife and I, we moved to Lakeside City a couple years ago, so that's where we live now. But I'm real familiar with this area. Like I say, I lived there for quite some time, and so it looks like over there where my house used to be located, where I used to live, is probably getting some pretty good hailstones. So my former neighbors are probably getting it over that way. And that would be along Barnett Road, kind of over there near the stadium. Then you follow it right along Southwest Parkway. You're going due east. You kind of cross Fairway Boulevard. There might be some hail there too. You keep on going down and you cross Kemp. Of course, there at the corner of Kemp, you got Taco Bell. You've got the Walgreens, and kind of up from there, you got the Chick-fil-A. I'm just trying to think of some points of interest, and then you keep on going east along Southwest Parkway. Then you come across Taco Casa, which I actually stopped by on my way back to the station tonight and got some Taco Casa. I had to get something to eat. I was starving. I didn't have time to cook, so I was starving. So looks like we got hail by Ryder High School. Kim, how large is the hail? Said the rain and wind is picking up in Lakeside City. Let me know what you got. Let me see if my wife's got anything to report here. Is it hailing there yet? She said it just started raining. All right, she must be watching me, so she heard. She said no hail there yet. Well, it's not quite there too. And I think you will. I think we will at least get some hail, but probably nothing too bad there, to be honest about it. So that's good. That's good news. And of course, we've got good dogs, and they don't get too scared of bad weather. So, and here's something else too. We're seeing some really heavy rainfall amounts tonight down in the Knox County. Some 6-inch rainfall amounts. You know what? That is just what the doctor ordered. That area out there hasn't seen a lot of rain this winter and now early spring season, and they're still in significant drought. So that is certainly very, very good news for our western counties. So overnight tonight, I think we may have to worry about a little flooding. Speaking of heavy rain, we got more storms developing kind of south and southwest of us. So most of the hail that we're seeing in Wichita Falls is probably fairly small. I don't think we're seeing hail in Iowa Park, Angie. I think that we're probably the hail core is probably well south of you. Lots of rain and lightning in Iowa Park. That's actually good sleeping weather, to be honest about it. So just hit Midwestern State, eerily calm in Iowa Park. Let's see here. Pea-size hail, Burt Burnett about 10 minutes ago. That's good news because you had baseball and golf ball size hail up there not long ago, so that's good news. Pea-size hail along Fairway Boulevard. Johnson and Fairway, pea-size hail. So that's good news. It's all small. This type of hail is not damaging. The only warning I have right now, at least in this area, you can really see where the hook is. There's a bit of a hook down near Lakeside City or just south of there. And if we were dealing with the tornado situation, that's where we'd be tracking it at. But thankfully, that's not the case at this point in time. And I can even show you where the velocities. You can see there is a rotation. And as I've been talking about tonight, these are elevated supercells, and supercells rotate. They spin. That's what they do. So you do see some rotation down there, but keep in mind that rotation is aloft. It is not at the Earth's surface. It's not even beneath the cloud. It's in the clouds. It's in the cloud layers. So we're not worried about tornadoes at this time. But as the updrafts rotate, you can certainly continue with at least hail. But the good news is most of the hail we're seeing now appears to be of the smaller variety. I can expand the radar. And I have over on my page, but I also want to show you the radar, kind of what's going on in other places too. There's the supercell moving over Wichita Falls now, but you can see there's what I was talking about out in Knox City, and just been a lot of heavy rain where there's flash flood warnings in effect over Benjamin, and more heavy rain, more thunderstorms have developed over that way, and you can see the thunderstorms really increasing, kind of in a line. Down towards just northwest of Abilene and kind of southwest of Seymour. Those storms, too, do contain a bit of a hail risk, but since they're kind of training over the same areas, flooding is going to be the biggest problem. And some of this could be headed towards the watershed, and that's going to be good. That will help. We've had good rain this winter. We really started getting wetter last fall, late in the fall. But with that rain that's pushing in now, the lakes are in good shape to take on more rainfall, to take on more water. So that'll continue to help cause those lake levels to rise. So that is definitely some good news. And, we really are in this active weather pattern. And I believe that we have more storm systems that's going to impact the area. And I was talking with Garrett about this earlier today. If we continue to see these storm systems like this, and I don't have any reason to believe that we won't, at some point in time, we're going to get probably a more significant severe weather event over us at some point in time. I'm not sure when that will be. Historically speaking, March doesn't bring a lot of serious severe weather to our part of the country. That's usually kind of just east of here. April is when you start getting it, especially early to mid-April can be really volatile. Think 1979. Well, that happened on what was that? April the 10th. It happened 1979. So that kind of tells you that that's kind of the time frame we really have to start worrying about tornadoes, because a lot of things don't line up this time of the year yet. We're just not quite there yet. But as we get into April, then we may have to worry about that a little bit more, tornadoes and that kind of stuff. But I'm not saying that we're going to see for sure going to see a big severe weather and tornado outbreak, but just the pattern just kind of favors something, something bigger on down the line. There's that cell, Wichita Falls. The good news is every report I've seen and everything I've seen on radar suggests that what we're seeing with this storm is just mostly small hail. You can see the hook echo moving kind of over the southeastern side of Wichita Falls, just east of Lakeside City. And again, there is rotation there within the storm, but that's the updraft rotating there. It's the rotating updraft in the thunderstorm that you're seeing there with that little bit of rotation. So, I can put some hail tracks on. Of course, over on News Channel 6, I have some access to some things here, and I'm showing where it looks like there might be some hail tracks over the last, looks like over the last hour. But if I expand that out and do 6 hours, and the radar will update in a minute, you'll see. Look at all that hail that's fallen this afternoon. Kind of got started over towards Wilbarger County. And then we saw a longer tract supercell develop and produce that bigger hail up towards Burkburnett. And we just continue to see these storms produce tracts of mostly small hail. Now, earlier the hail was bigger. I mean, the hail could still pick up some, but as of right now, it doesn't appear to be too bad. So that's good news. I'm monitoring the weather service here, and at some point I've got to give my voice a bit of a break. So after this gets out of Wichita Falls, I'll probably jump off of Facebook Live and my streaming platforms and kind of get ready for the newscast to come on after the basketball game. But the heavy rain continues to now push through the city. It'll be out of the city here shortly. And it's moving over into Clay County. So places like Dean, Charley, Petrolia, Byers, Henrietta, those areas, mostly heavy rain, but there could be at least some small hail. And if the storm can kind of reorganize, it might produce some bigger hail. But right now, it looks like most of the hail will be fairly small over in those areas. And again, all the rain that I'm seeing, all the reports I'm seeing here on my Facebook page here and on these social media sites is mostly just heavy rain and very, very small pea-size hail. Do you have report of training several hours over Harold Oakland Union this afternoon? Yeah, I did see that, Dale. I did see that there was some training over in those areas earlier today. So there's been a lot of rain up that way. Rain, lots of it off of Midwestern Parkway from a viewer there. So it looks like to me that if we zoom in a little closer to some of these areas where the storm is located at the present time, you can see the classic hook with that thunderstorm, classic elevated supercell there. And supercells, basically what it means is it's just a really strong thunderstorm that rotates. That's basically, and you got to have the jet stream for that to happen. You get it, this time of the year, you get them. And like I say, as you get over into April, you'll start seeing these supercells begin to get a little bit more dangerous. And used to would get that over into May as well. And May, traditionally speaking, May is the number one tornado month out of the year, but it just hasn't been for quite some time. So it'll be interesting to see now that we're out of this La Nina weather pattern. It'll be interesting to see if that holds true again this year. I mean, I was talking to a storm chaser buddy of mine a while back, and he's the same way. He's like, well, let's see what happens now with now that we're out of La Nina, and let's see if we continue the May tornado drought. And if we do, then it may mean that we have seen the weather pattern shift enough to where May is no longer that kind of a month. But we'll see what happens with that. We'll see. And somebody asked me, is it true that you're not supposed to take a shower in a thunderstorm? Well, you know what? My mom and dad used to do. My mom, not my dad. My dad never said anything about it, but my mom used to tell me not to. And my grandparents, of course, when we've been living in South Mississippi, they got some gnarly thunderstorms there. A lot of lightning down that way, especially in the summertime. And they would always be like, don't take a shower, don't be on the phone, and all that's true because lightning can hit. I think I'm not sure on this. I know that the lightning can hit a telephone pole and can travel through your phone, so you're not supposed to be on a phone. And I think it can hit the ground too and can create issues with the shower too. So it's best to wait until these storms move through to do all of that. Of course, I mean, these storms are producing quite a bit of lightning. But kind of going back to the story I was just telling, at my grandparents' house when I was growing up, there would always be big thunderstorms there in the summertime that would produce a ton of lightning. I mean, just lightning everywhere. And they would always turn off everything, unplug everything, turn off everything, because, if the lightning hit the house, it could short out, a lot of what they had. So that was always something that they talked about. So, I mean, I don't go around the house and unplug everything in my house. Of course, I mean, we have, you have surge protectors and that kind of stuff today, but back then I don't think they really did. So, but they also would talk about the lightning that we'd see in the summertime as being heat lightning, and there is no such thing as heat lightning, believe it or not. If you see lightning in the summertime, middle of the night, even though it's hot outside, it's a thunderstorm off in the distance. Sheppard Air Force Base, just some heavy rainfall. That is it. There might be a little small pea-sized hail just south of there. Oh, Becca, I've got a lot of stories. I used to tell my kids stories all the time. They loved hearing stories from Dad. Loved hearing my stories. And oftentimes we would, before I'd go to bed, before they'd go to bed at night, this is back when Dad was their hero. And they wanted something to do with you. Of course, now they're teenagers, they're grown, they don't have nothing to do with you. But back in those days, I'd come home from work on my dinner break, and I would try to get them to go to bed. Most of the time they wouldn't on my dinner break. So usually what would happen would I'd come home from work and they would still be awake, or some of them would be. I have three, so there'd be some of them awake. And I'd have to go tell them a story. Sometimes it'd be a story that some type of experience that I had, but more times than not, it'd just be some made up story. Hayes always wanted to hear a Batman or Superman story or something like that, so that was always fun to do. Like I say, I'd love to go back and tell them a story again, but they're too old and they don't want to hear that anymore from Dad. So, but yeah, I have a lot of stories. I have a lot of stories I could tell. So many stories I can tell. Growing up, I've just been, no such thing as heat lightning, Victoria. That is a myth. That is a myth. A lightning that you see in the summertime, or really any time of year, and it's hot out. Let's say it's hot outside. Let's say it's July and it's hot, and you see lightning off in the distance. Yeah, my granddad used to say, "Yeah, there's some heat lightning out there tonight. Yep, it's just hot outside and getting them heat lightning and those lightning bugs." So, that's what they used to tell me. Of course, as a kid, you believed it, but as I went through, the first time I ever heard it wasn't real was I was in meteorology school, and we started talking about heat lightning. And I was like, isn't that real? Nope, it's not. It's thunderstorm you see off in the distance. It's just a lot of times in the summertime you have clear skies at night, and you can see them off a long way. So that's what that is. Yeah, I have a lot of good stories from my grandparents' house, and closer to Halloween, I'll try to tell you. Their house was haunted, so I can tell you a couple little stories about that too. So, closer to Halloween, we'll try to do that some. So this is just the one wave of storms that's pushing through now. We have another wave that's going to be pushing through in the middle of the night here. So as you go to bed, you may see this next batch that's down to the south west of us head on in to the area from the southwest with some heavy rain. And again, with the training, don't be surprised if there's flooding. So, whenever I see these thunderstorms like this, and I see a lot of heavy rain, like I say, I know we need it. I'm not complaining about that. But you know what goes through my head? My wife knows. Let me see if she's listening to me right now. No, she's not saying anything. And if you follow me enough, you know what I'm about to say. All I can think of is muddy paws. Dogs go outside, they bring that mud inside. You can wipe the paws off all you want to, but they're still going to bring that mud inside. So that's more of a mess that I have to clean up. I used to love the rain, especially in the middle of the night. Now I hear it like, oh man, tomorrow morning it's going to be a nightmare letting these dogs out to go to the bathroom. I have to let them out one at a time. I can't just let them go because they'll get out there and they'll play and they'll roll around in the mud, and then that'll be a disaster. So I'm very glad to have my Facebook page back up and running, y'all. I'm so glad that I have this back up and running. I was afraid I had lost it forever, and a lady up at she used to work here at the TV station with us. She was she ran our digital stuff. She did all the digital stuff like that, app and social media, that kind of stuff. She was really good at what she did. Fantastic. Now she's the assistant news director up in Lawton at KSWO. She's going to go far in this business. Avery Akita, I think that's how you say her last name. It was able to get me back up. I tried with Meta for days and nothing. Terrible customer service. And then all of a sudden I got with her, and boom, just like that, I'm back up and running again. So I was excited. To get my page back. All right, so I'm going to jump off of the News Channel 6 side of things here. I'll stay on my page here for a few minutes to continue to stream here, but I'm jumping off the News Channel 6 side of things. And I may do some updates overnight tonight. Maybe not a lot. I don't know what we'll do. And I'm not sure when Garrett will be in. He'll be in here at some point in time. I'm not sure when that'll be. I appreciate it, Becca. Thank you. And again, I like having my Facebook page back up and running because I can give you updates. I can do fun stuff. I can't talk. My mom tells me I ramble on too much, and so does my wife. But they don't. I don't think they understand that that's just what we're kind of doing here with Facebook Live. You can a serious situation, you'll get the weather information too. But now that we're just kind of ending things and wrapping things up, I can ramble on. If you want to jump off, you can. I just kind of ramble on. That's why I kind of tell my stories and whatnot. So, like I said, got a lot of them. I've just lived a lot of life from the time I was from a kid. To even right now. I mean, there's stuff that's happened to me that don't happen to anybody else. Trust me, there is stuff that happens to me. I'm not gonna tell you everything, but there's stuff that happens to me that don't happen to anybody else. I could literally write a book. I could write. My life has been a soap opera. I could been on Days of Our Lives or The Young and the Restless. I mean, think about that movie Borat I was in. I was in Borat. That movie is still popular to this day. I still get paychecks from that. They're not a lot. When they first started coming, the royalties you get from that. I was only in that movie for about I guess it was maybe a minute maybe, and I wasn't even considered an extra. It was considered like a cameo appearance or something like that. And I'll tell the story again at some other. I'll tell the whole story later on. I've told it so many times. I get kind of tired of telling it, but as the little small role I had in that, I get royalty checks still every couple months. At first they were several $1,000s. Now they're like $50 to $100. But hey, that's $50 to $100 just given to me from the Screen Actors Guild. I get a check from 20th Century Fox, or actually it's Disney now. I think it is. I get them from, so it's pretty cool. It is pretty cool to get those still from time, and they really come at times when you need them the most. So, but yeah, just stuff like that's happened. It's just interesting things from time to time. So, mostly these days I live a boring life, but I do have some interesting stories that I'll get along the way. From my best friend growing up, David Day, to my good buddies in high school. They're something else. To my buddies in college. I want to bring one of my buddies from college on here and collaborate and do some story time. He tells great stories, and I'd like for him to tell some stories sometimes. And then of course, my kids growing up, all my dogs I have, just got lots of good stuff to talk about. So we'll do that later on down the road. Lots of good things planned. Now that I got my social media pages back, we can do it. All right, I'm going to jump off of here. I'm going to give my voice a bit of a break. If I need to get back on for anything in the middle of the night, I will, but I'm not going to get back on at least for a little bit. Next wave of storms will be in Wichita Falls. It's 10 o'clock now. Probably not until about midnight, maybe a little bit before that, so I'll be keeping an eye on those. Those don't look too bad. Mostly just some good heavy downpours and some loud claps of thunder. It may keep you awake in the middle of the night. Oh, Becca, you don't want my autograph. Nothing exciting about that. But I will tell you this. My wife and I were in the stockyards several years ago in Fort Worth. Where we were at? B&R, I think. Is that what it's called? B&R? B&R's? Wasn't Billy Bob. It was B&R. I think it was B&R. So we are at B&R. And this guy walks up. We were talking to some guy, and the guy's like, you look familiar. Where do I know you from? I was like, well, where do you live? He said, I live out in, I think he's Nevada or Utah. I was like, oh, no, I have no way, I don't know you. No way I've ever met you before. He said, you sound familiar. He's like, wait a minute. Well, you weren't happen to be the guy that was in Borat, would you? I was like, well, wow. Yeah, I was. So somebody recognized me from that way out there. So, and that happened in 2003, so that was a long time ago. So,